Well, welcome along to the Sporting Life and Timeform weekend preview. David Ord, delighted to be back and joined by Linfoot and Matt Brocklebank. A bit of everything this weekend. We've got some top quality flat action and the jumps are back at Cheltenham in Aintree. Some fantastic action across the two courses. We're going to start at Doncaster. It's the final Group 1 of the British flat season. It's the Vertem Futurity for 2-year-olds. We're going to have a look at the Timeform ratings first up here, Matt. We're going to have a look at how the Timeform see this race. Aidan O'Brien's dominated it in recent years, dominates the market, but on those ratings, should it be doing so?
It shouldn't be quite the discrepancy, I wouldn't have thought, should there? He's clearly priced up on not only the horse's reputation, but the reputation of the trainer, as you say. But yeah, he's only a couple of pounds clear. They both have the P. I'm personally quite keen on Epictetus. He's shown loads of promise as well. Obviously, just had the 2 runs. I think that's a real positive for him. But there are other horses in here as well that you would have to give a squeak to on the ratings as well, because at this time of year, on softening ground, horses can clearly take significant steps forward.
Let's start looking. We've got some video clues to help with this as well. And Ben, the first horse we're going to look at is that favourite, Auguste Rodin, for Aidan O'Brien. I've been trying to pronounce that correctly all morning. Probably failed, but there we are. Aidan usually runs his Derby horse in this. Is this a sort of horse that's got classic credentials for next season?
Yeah, I would say so, Dave. He was good this day. He didn't travel the best. You can see Caroline Street in the blue and white silk towards the near side. She travelled the best in the race, but Auguste Rodin, he did it nicely. The further the race went, he looked better. I think a mile at this stage of his career is absolutely perfect for him. You can see he just drifted to his right there and just sort of intimidated Caroline Street a little bit to get the job done. But that was a good run in a Group 2. She didn't really do much for the form. She came out in the Well Park Stakes at the Curragh. After that, went off 2-1 favourite in a Group 3 and finished 6th. So it doesn't look amazing form by any means, but he's a progressive horse. He should like the ground, and we've already discussed Aidan O'Brien's tremendous record in this race. He's going for a record-breaking 11th win. So he's obviously respected. Looking at those ratings, looking at that performance, and looking at the market, he's an odds-on favourite I want to take on. Interestingly, Aidan O'Brien has won that Leopardstown race 9 times, and he's won this race 10 times, but he's never won both races in the same year with the same horse, which this horse has been asked to do. They normally come a different route. They normally come from the Beresford Stakes or a maiden. So just an interesting little...
Oh, definitely. So it's significant his ears pricked, didn't it, at the finish there? There was plenty under the tank, still learning about it. But let's have a look at the pace, Matt, how this race is going to be run. Looking at that, the favourite Auguste Rodin's going to want this to be a proper test of stamina. Look at this forecast gallop. Does that change how you think about the race?
Yeah, I think Timeform is suggesting there's going to be a decent, strong pace on here, and there really should be a good gallop. Stormbuster, we know, is a horse that seems to like to make the running. I could certainly see Salt Lake City, the Aidan O'Brien's other horse, being out there as well towards the front end. It's just one of those races, isn't there? There's generally very little hiding place at Doncaster at this time of year. It is one of those tracks. It's such a wide, expansive track. They get rocking and rolling 3 furlongs out, and this is a proper test for a 2-year-old. You find it quite hard to envisage this being kind of won via cat and mouse tactics. I think, generally speaking, it's why Aidan O'Brien likes it. They go a good gallop and the best horse tends to win.
We've got another video clue coming over that's going to tie in 2 of the horses in this race. We've got Epictetus, again, pronunciation checked, in the Autumn Stakes, Holloway Boy 2 for Carlback. I'm going to concentrate on Epictetus with you, Matt, in the White George Strawbridge Silks for John and Thady Gosden. Second run of his career. What did you make of this performance?
Yeah, the first thing I'd say about this race is that it has actually become quite a decent classic trial over the years. Caribus won it last year. We've had the likes of Persian King beating Magna Grecia and Circus Maximus 2018. Gaiath ran it in it as well. So it is a good race. Epictetus here, he got to the front. He got a decent trip, certainly compared to Holloway Boy. He didn't get a huge amount of cover towards the centre of the track. And what I love about Epictetus there is that he's come up against a good horse, a more experienced horse in Silver Knot, a horse that we know is going to the Breeders' Cup. He's favourite for the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf. I suspect that horse is probably one of Charlie Appleby's best Derby prospects for next season. But he really got his head down there in a battle, and he was not coming back at him, but he was certainly matching him in the effort stakes, wasn't he? And I wouldn't say not all Kingmans do that, but I really like to see that in a horse like him, because some of Kingman's progeny, they can be really quite sparkling in their turn of foot. But that horse there showed me that he looks like he could really want to run through a wall for you, and I think that's going to be a really important factor going into a race like this.
Ben, in third we had Holloway Boy, who I didn't think handled the dip particularly well. He was stuck in behind. I think he had running left. If you're Carl Burke and the team, watching that, are you thinking we've a chance of turning that round?
Certainly, yeah, absolutely. And I think at the prices, for me, he's the bet in the race because, like you say, he didn't handle the dip well. He also he got stuck behind Dancing Magic, one of the outsiders, and didn't have an awful lot of racing room. And I agreed with you. When you look at the finishing line, there looks like to be plenty left in the tank with Holloway Boy. Carl Burke has put a first-time visor on him, and I think a good angle here is him switching to soft ground, which he's never tackled before. A son of Ulysses out of a pivotal mare. I think he's got a bit of a knee action. I think he's going to really enjoy it. And so he's racked up experience in good races, hasn't he? Obviously won the Chesham Stakes first time out at 40-1, went on to the Vintage and the Tattersall Stakes behind Nostrum. So he's got a good bulk of juvenile form, but I think we can still see the best of him on his fifth start in these conditions.
Ben Linfoot, King of Steel. It's not the name of your autobiography, but
be.
it could be. This horse is 1 for 1 at Nottingham for David Loughnane, more associated with early season juveniles. I watched the replay just before I came on there. He's a huge brute of a thing, this horse, isn't he?
He is. Adam Kirby got off him and said he was one of the biggest 2-year-olds he'd ever ridden, and he was impressive at Nottingham. Like you say, Ammo Racing and David Loughnane, probably more associated with your breeze up horses at the start of the season, that type of 2-year-old. He looks completely different, son of Wootton Bassett, big strong horse, won by almost 5 lengths on debut, really taking debut. Now it was only 12 days ago, I think, 11 days ago.
What's a day?
10 days ago.
What's a couple of days between friends?
10 days ago, but that quick turnaround coming into a Group 1 is just the one thing on my mind. Obviously a lack of experience, but I can absolutely see why they're rolling the dice, and he's a really intriguing strand in this race. Looking forward to seeing how he gets on.
Quick line Stormbuster, Matt, for Andrew Baldwin, one of the duos. He's got to go from the front as well. Is he a danger to them?
Yeah, trainer clearly knows where he stands with the 2-year-olds. Interesting, this horse is being pitched in here. He's only rated 99, so on the figures, looks to have a fair amount to find. I liked what I saw at Newbury. He won the Haynes, Hanson and Clark. Possibly not the greatest edition of that race. I know it's lost a little bit of its lustre, but the form, the second high bank has been beaten in a novice since at Leicester, so possibly quite a lot of ground to make up. What you would say is that he's a full brother to Arabian Queen, so there's a few turn-ups in the family. That horse obviously won the Jubilant 50s a few years ago.
Tipped by William Darby as well, I remember at the preview night. Matt, what the bet in the Vertem Futurity is?
Yeah, I think if I'm going to have a bet in the race, it has to be the Gosden horse. Gosden's never won the race, amazingly, but Epictetus, I was impressed with him at Newmarket. I think that was a really good race, the Autumn Stakes.
Ben?
Yeah, Holloway Boy for me, Dave.
I think I'm Holloway Boy as well. I thought that was a good one. I'm intrigued by him going on to soft ground. Right, let's move on. I won't do the Cheltenham song. But we're moving on to Cheltenham. It's day 2 of the showcase meeting. The big race, big betting race, the 888 Sport Handicap Chaser. Cracking race this. Let's have a look at the time form ratings graphic for this one. It's very early season, but it's interesting some of these horses that get back in action, Matt, here. Competitive little handicap chase, this.
This is a cracking race, and yeah, I think the Irish horse is probably throwing the real intrigue, and we'll get to Willie Mullins' horse, Dad's Lad, but yeah, I think he's going to be Willie's first runner at this meeting as well. But Gordon Elliott's got hold of Poseidon as well. I thought he was quite interesting if the ground stayed decent, formerly with Charles Burns. But the horse there on the screen at the top, Editor de Gite, he sets a really pretty strong standard for these other horses to go out. I know clear that the runway's been going through the grades, but Editor de Gite for me, for Gary Moore, yeah, it definitely sets the standard. I can see him being favourite on the day. Let's
watch him in action, Ben, Editor de Gite. We've got him winning at Cheltenham in December. And he's a horse who, I don't know, he's going through the ranks, isn't he? You could see him going in a higher grade at some stage this season.
Yeah, this performance suggested that he just loves Cheltenham. He's the sort of 2-miler that goes out, bold jumper, makes the run in. Matt's alluded to the fact that he's got a class edge on these rivals. I mean, he's rated 153. The next one in is 142. So he does have to give quite a bit of weight away, but he could well do if he gets into a rhythm on his first start of the season. Now, I am just a little bit worried about him first time out. When you look at him fresh in the month of October, he's never won. He was an okay second at Ascot in a novice handicap chase the season before last, but that was off a mark of 120, so it's a very different test for him now. But you're not as convinced by that argument, are you?
Well, no, he made a really bad mistake that day. I think he might have gone close behind that Sully Dock first time at Ascot, and he ran really well last year, first time back as well at Ascot. So
he was unseated rider that day.
He was very much going to play a part in the finish. He was probably going to be second, but again, it was another good run. Yeah, I think Gary Moore will have him ready. I know the lads touched upon it in the Get Stuck In show at the start of the week, but I think they'll have him ready, and I could certainly see him running in the slow chase at the next meeting.
Now, you can take the man out of Cumbria, but you can't take the Cumbria out of the man. Matt has somehow got a Cartmel video into this best bet. It's clear the runway, Matt. Talk about the horse. Tell us about this performance at Cartmel that we're about to see.
I can show you where the best ice cream van is, Dave, and where you might get the best deal on the sweets. But yeah, this is a remarkable horse, really. He's racked up a sequence from the spring. This was sort of towards the end of the spring. He was back from a break last time out and looked better than ever. This was a penultimate start, as I say. He's now won 7 of his last 9 starts. That winning run did start off a mark of 98, so you're sort of having to bring it into a bit of context when it comes to a horse like de Gite that he's facing now. This was him winning really quite scruffily, I thought, at Cartmel. So you kind of thought at that stage, well, the handicapper's surely going to get him now. And then what he went and did at Worcester the other week, off £6 higher, he absolutely bolted up under Brian Hughes, and you kind of think he looks like he's grown another inch. So, good luck to Laura Morgan and the team. This looks like a really, really progressive horse, one that you could definitely see catching a race of this nature before the ground gets too bad. I don't think, obviously, they'd want the potentially forecast late thunderstorms on Friday to hit the track.
Although it was soft ground at Worcester when he won.
Yeah, he handles it, but Brian Hughes got off and said this is definitely as soft as he wants it. He doesn't want proper soft ground, so they're going to obviously look to strike while the iron remains very hot. He's a fascinating horse, one you've got to respect if you're having a bet in the race.
Should mention on Dad's Lad, who was Willie Mullins' first run at the showcase meeting, exclusively by Linfoot and exclusively on Sporting Life. This weekend we've got a major Willie Mullins stable tour coming, 60 odd horses covered, plenty of real good videos as well. So keep an eye over the weekend on all of our channels for some Willie Mullins content. It's absolutely top notch. Can't wait to publish that. Right, so we're going to talk selections now for this 888 Spot Handicap Chase. Ben Linfoot, what wins? What's the bet?
I like Dad's Lad. I think there's a few things in his favour. He's obviously fit. Won at Killarney in August on just his 3rd chasing start. That was his handicap chasing debut. Obviously gone up in the weights, but he's Willie Mullins, his first and only ever runner at the showcase meet. And I think this could be set up nicely for him because you've got a few good front runners in there. He stays further, he'll be just off the pace, and I think he can finish strongly and win.
Matt, the bet?
Willies don't come good until about Christmas time. I'm going to take him on. Gary Moore's got this Editor de Gite. Top weights win, handicaps round Cheltenham. We see it year in, year out, and we're going to kick off with one here, I think. Well,
we're based quite close to Doncaster here, and the rain that we've had over the last 24 hours or so has really put me sweet on Isra for my weekend best bet in the 230s mile for the Shadwell team and John Gosden. Wants soft ground, got undone in a tactical race last time. He's miles better than that. In the sales next week, I think, but I'd be interested to see how he goes on Saturday. So he's my weekend best bet in the 230 at Doncaster. Ben?
Came from the dark in the 410 Doncaster for me, Dave. A horse I put up on the show before, and he wasn't particularly good that day at Ascot, but that was his first race in a long time. He was way too fresh and keen. He did actually quite well to be beaten just over 3 lengths that day. So I think he'll come on from that. He's run second start after a break. His form second start after a break's really good, and they've been out the first 2. And he's got the look of a very well handicapped horse now. He's off a mark of 102. When he last ran off 101, he beat some good horses in handicap, Garrus, King's Lynn, Tis Marvellous at Newbury. So I think he should be primed and ready for this. So came from the dark for me in the 410 at Doncaster.
Matt, last but not least.
Yeah, in value bet this week, I'll be looking to try and unpick this Pertemps Network handicap, probably the sprint handicap as well at Doncaster. But yeah, I will be having a good bet on Editor de Gite, so I'll double down on him again. That's in the 315 at Cheltenham.
There you are. The thoughts ahead of an intriguing weekend of action. Tips from Doncaster and Cheltenham. And as I said, don't forget to check out the Sporting Life channels this weekend for the Willie Mullins Stable Tour and videos from a trip to Close Sutton. It's well worth seeing. Can't wait for that. And best of luck with your own weekend wagers.